Are you a technician who wants to set yourself apart? Then the Trusted Technician podcast is for you. I'm Derek Hofrichter, coach and trainer at SBE, and on this podcast, we will have experienced HVAC coaches and trainers, as well as top-performing technicians, all sharing their tips and strategies to help you be more successful. Welcome to another episode of the Trusted Technician podcast. I'm Coach Derek here at SBE, and today's guest is Eddie. Eddie works at All Temp in Tennessee. Eddie, welcome to the podcast.
Thanks, Derek, for having me.
Yeah, no, thank you for being here. So to get us started, Eddie, because I'm sure we have a lot to talk about, but we always start at the beginning here. How did you get into HVAC? How did you become a technician? Give us the backstory.
I graduated high school with a culinary arts degree in 2014. Moved,
Interesting.
moved to Southwest Florida, where I was originally from. Was working in some kitchens, kind of just bouncing around. And actually, my uncle, who is one of our installers now here at All Temp, called me one day and he said, "Hey, man, how would you like a career instead of a job?" And at 17, that's not something you ever really thought about, was a career. And I remember telling him, I was like, "Man, I don't know nothing about what you do. Like, I know there's a thing on the wall. You turn it to heat, hot air comes out, or you turn it to cool, and cold air comes out." And he said, "Well, that's cool. My boss will teach you." So I got started back in 2014 and just kept at it.
Okay, so about 12 years ago.
Yeah.
And it's a common theme of family members getting people into this. I
Yes.
I noticed that because I asked this question to everyone, and yeah, that's not an uncommon thing that a family member hooked you in. So you've stuck with it. 12 years later, you've stuck with it. Why? What do you love about it, and what keeps you staying with it?
Um, I mean, for me, it's just I'm a very outgoing person. I like to talk to people. So it's just always cool that you never know, what you're getting into that day. Everything's kind of like a mystery. You don't know what call they're sending you on, and then sometimes you get those customers that you know what you're going to get from them. So it's just, I really enjoy that. And I know a lot of people say, and it's probably cliche, but middle of summer, dead of winter, it's 105 out or -10, and you go out there and you get their unit, cooling or heating, and you really feel like a superhero for a
You are a
minute. Like,
superhero.
man,
Might
I
as
just
well
saved
put
their
the cape
day.
on. Yeah, yeah. No, I get that. Yeah. Okay, but on the flip side, what have been, some of the challenges for you?
Mindset,
Tell me
mindset
more.
for sure. Especially when I was younger. Um, just getting the mindset of, this is a career. You're gonna have to focus on this. You're gonna have to be serious about this. If you ever want to grow in this, you can't just keep doing the same stuff you've been doing. And then as you progress down the line, end up as a technician at a big company down there. And I never did services. So for me, services were probably one of the biggest mindset shifts I had to have when I moved here. And it was one of the hardest things for me to get over. Is, at that time I felt like I'm a technician, man. Anybody can take a hose to a unit. Like, what am I doing? So it was just getting out of that mindset. And a lot of that's thanks to the podcast and hearing the guys, talk to you about it.
Yeah, I love that. We'll dive into mindset a bit more because I do think that is one of the biggest aspects of the residential service, like you're talking about. So you and I met, I think, for the first time maybe 15, 16 months ago. You took a class of mine in an SBE class in Kansas City. You
Yep.
flew out to Kansas City. I think you had like the whole Kansas City experience. I think you guys went to a Chiefs game and had barbecue and all,
We
all that
did.
stuff, right? So, but you were there for a 2 day class. So tell me a little bit about that. Was that kind of like, you know, had you sat in like, all day, 2 day classes like that before, kind of focused on the process, or kind of tell me a little bit about like the before, what did you learn and how does that fit into this mindset and mind shift journey of yours?
So when we took your class, we were fairly new to SBE.
Mm-hmm.
Last year was our first solid year. So other than like, going to 2 day trainings for, new HVAC equipment or something like that,
Technical stuff.
yeah,
Yep.
technical stuff. That was my first time ever sitting into a class where they're trying to teach me, a process on how to do my job better. And So it was just really cool, just getting to talk to all the different, technicians from all over. And, it was really just an eye opener. Like, man, like this stuff, when you're saying it out loud compared to like listening to it, it's like, it makes sense. Like if somebody asked me that question, I would give them an honest answer. Like the way they just word things just makes me want to talk to them. So I think that was my biggest takeaway was, man, this thing probably could work if you just actually put your mind to it and don't just do part of the process, try to do the whole process.
Yeah. Did you? So I love that. Okay. So it was like one of your first times sitting down, to like the process side, the
Yeah.
technical side, of course. So what were you thinking before that? Like when you got told, like, hey, we're gonna sit in a 2 day class. Like, what was your mindset then of like, really, or oh, awesome.
it,
Like, we're kind of what were you walking into with?
it was more awesome for me. You know, when we switched over to SBE, not only is the hopes to, give the customer a good experience, but it's also like, let's all be honest here, it's to make more money. It's to make more money for ourselves too.
Mm-hmm.
So anytime that I can get a chance to possibly better myself, I mean, I've got three children, a house, stay-at-home mom for a wife. I'm a single income family. So if I
Yeah.
get a chance to make some more money for everybody, then it's going to make me happy.
Yeah, well, that's the win-win-win goal out of all of this,
Of
right? There are no
course.
losers.
Yeah,
Everyone wins,
everyone's
right?
happy.
Your customer wins because you're being a more professional, better communicating, better value giving, more thorough technician, right? So the customer wins. It's just better for a customer to have a well-trained tech than not, right?
Absolutely.
The
Absolutely.
your company wins, right? They're investing into something
Hmm.
like this and the time, and then you personally as the technician win because, like you said, this is how you take care of your family.
Of
So
course.
that is what goes into the residential side is doing a better job. Also correlates to bringing in more revenue.
Yeah, I think like before SBE, whenever you heard about something like this, as a technician who was never commission based or, bonus based or whatever you want to call it,
Yeah,
um, you always felt like those people were going to be sleazebags.
of
Like they're going to
course.
do everything they can to sell somebody something they don't actually need. So it's nice to not do that and tell the new guys, look, like you're not selling them something that they don't need. You're explaining them to something that they didn't even know about or that they didn't even know they needed.
Yes.
Are you doing yourself an injustice and them an injustice if you don't bring it up to them? Because this is our job. Like we know
Hmm.
there are things that can help them, reach that goal of, 3, 4 more years. And if we can help them get there, then we need to.
Yeah, I like to think or say like this is not it's not sales training, right? Because
No,
you're right. Like if I'm like, hey, everybody, imagine in your mind a salesperson. Like it's not going to be positive thinking, or like what we're not
no,
going to imagine is like something positive or something we want to talk to. And I think for most technicians, that's definitely not something they aspire to be, right?
no.
So it's not sales training, it's process training.
Yeah.
It's training to follow a consistent process so no stone gets unturned. The
Yeah.
customer doesn't get shafted, right? Because you didn't even look you went and looked at this thing and didn't even look at the other thing, right? And that's a horrible customer experience to be unsure that you're getting the most value out of the visit and everything like that. So let's dive into that thing about process. What does it mean to you to follow a process? What does that mean to you?
Um, that's a tough question.
I ask it because it means something different to everybody. So
Yeah.
I'd like to hear your thoughts on what does it mean to follow the process.
I guess for me, it just helps me. It's sometimes I get too worked up on what's happening next or um, how quickly can I get this done to where now I have something that can, I've been told my whole career for 12 years now I need to slow down. And I'm finally a part of a process that makes me like I have no choice. I have to slow down. So I think for me it just helps me focus on stuff like that, and providing a better experience and doing a better job, reducing callbacks, which none of us like. So
Yeah. Okay, so it's for you, it's like it means like guardrails.
yeah, exactly. Yep. Keep me in a straight line, please.
Or like yeah, just no one's falling off the cliff, right? Or anything like that. Yeah,
Yeah,
stay in the straight line, move forward.
exactly.
Um, yeah, and when we talk about process, it's obviously like a very complete, like you said, you're gonna have to go slow in order to
Yeah.
go through it all. Has there been pieces of it that you've resisted more than other pieces? Because I think it's just human nature, right? Like the first time you learn it, you're gonna be like, oh, I really like this and this. This piece, not a fan of, right? And then all of a sudden now it's Eddie's process, right? Because it's like a Frankenstein. But
Yeah.
what are some of the things that maybe you resisted and maybe even now you've opened up a little bit more to? Like anything come to mind?
Oh, there's two things in
Please.
particular that from the first time I sat in your class till one of them was about 6 months after your class, and then the most recent one was from Arizona.
Okay.
So the first one was the call ahead. Can I stop and get you a drink?
Okay. Yeah. It's
I
not for you.
really, yeah, well, that's the thing is it is for me. I started doing it, and Lewis, when he rode along with us, he got to watch it firsthand. I explained to him that this customer that we're calling, she's never been a very pleasant person. I never have a good conversation with her. It seems like she wants you out the door. And Lewis and I were just talking about this in Arizona when we were there, and do you remember that customer when you called her and she started out so harsh with you, and then you said, by the way, we're going to stop at the gas station, grab ourselves something cold to drink. Can I offer you some water, some tea, some soda, something like that? And the whole tone changed.
Mm.
Now she wanted to have conversation. She wanted to laugh and joke. And then we got there and she instantly brought up problems that she probably never would have brought up before. And it's just, I
She
think
viewed you different.
yeah, somebody said, to me, when you go to a friend's house, isn't it kind of rude not to offer them something?
Hmm.
And when you start thinking about it like that, it's like, oh, I am going to someone's house. Like, it is kind of rude not to ask them. And then
Yeah.
the second thing's the red carpet. Uh,
Okay.
to me, I was like, no way, no stinking way.
Yeah, so
Um,
I actually remember, not to cut you
I
off,
knew
but
it
I
was
have a
going
memory of in that class that I'm like demonstrating it,
yeah,
right? And like you and many others, not just you, it's like the look on the face of like, that is the cheesiest thing we're gonna get like
yeah.
kicked out of, and like, yeah, continue. But yeah.
So, um, the training, and actually, I thought this is where you were going with it. The training in Arizona,
Mm,
when you could tell right away that is not something that I do.
yeah, I did
I
notice
mean,
that, right?
the other technician I was working with opens the door up, I shake his hand, and I basically just bum rushed right past him, and no one else caught that except
Hmm.
for you.
Yeah. So whatever, to give context here, so about I don't know, a little over a month ago, we were doing some training at a training facility in Arizona, right, where we've basically got a house, a mock house. And there's a front door and all that, and yeah, and we had a bunch of techs there, right? I don't know, 50
Yeah.
techs like doing different scenarios in the house, and I'm kind of standing off to the side, and I see Mr. Eddie here, go to the front door, and like everything else that you did was great, right? Like, perfect. And then I just kind of like, hey Eddie, are you open to, a little, I think, what did I say? Like, are you open to a little like
Destructive criticism.
constructive
Yep,
criticism? Yeah. And you're like, yeah, of course, hit me. I'm
please.
like, I'm like, dude, your front door, and I think I did say something like,
Oh yeah,
I can tell you're not used to
the carpet.
the carpet there at the front door, right? And the idea is that you set down like a carpet so you've got a clean spot outside their house to relax, chill for a second, put your shoe covers on, and not just like invade someone's
Yes,
personal space, right? Of even just like, Eddie, slow down for a second. You didn't even ask permission to enter this person's house.
yes. Yeah,
That's
no, I did not. I barged right through, and like I said, nobody else said a word. They were all like, "Hey, this is a great job." And then here comes Derek. Hey, can you take some criticism? I'm like, please. So yeah, no, the like I said, the doing it in Arizona, I remember going back up to the hotel room at Josh, one of the owners, and I was like, dude, I want a red carpet. I'm like, I'm if I'm going to do this process, I am going to follow it step by step as best as I possibly can.
That's the golden moment of it's no longer Eddie's
Yep.
Frankenstein process, right?
Yeah.
Of like, I love that. And that takes time, right?
Yeah.
Here that took 15, 16 months
Hmm.
from, like you said, the first time you saw, for that
Yep.
moment of like, hey, listen, if I'm gonna do this, let's do it 100%.
Yeah.
That's a huge moment.
Yeah. Thank you. Yeah. Like I said, I remember asking you at that training in Kansas City. I was like, "Can I ask you a question?" You're like, "What's up?" What's up with this red carpet thing I keep reading about? Is that like a metaphor? And you're like, no, no, they have a legitimate red carpet they roll
Yeah.
out. It's like, huh.
Yeah. It could be blue or, whatever color
Yeah,
too, right?
yeah.
Obviously,
It
red
doesn't matter
carpet.
what color it is. It's just the
Yeah,
act of doing it.
the red carpet itself though signifies like VIP,
Yeah,
type of
exactly.
stuff, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, and it's again, it's that idea that you referenced before, and even like, offering to pick something up. It's their house, right? And
Absolutely.
I think what happens, and it happened to me, right? Because I sold in the home, is that at some point you get a little accustomed to it because it's like you do it every day.
Hmm.
But like stepping back and viewing it from the other perspective of it's not normal or common, right? To
Yeah.
have like even for a lot of people, like ever to
Mhm.
have a stranger come into their house. It's their
Yeah.
house. They live
Yeah.
there. There's a lot of vulnerabilities there of letting someone into where you live and where your kids are, and where you sleep and where you eat and
Absolutely.
all of those things. And I think it's a good perspective to remember that.
Yeah,
And then
absolutely.
the more things you start to do to acknowledge that, I think what you saw with the lady that was a little tough, right, is
Yeah.
you kind of shift now to the stranger invading my fortress to maybe something a little bit more of like, you know what, I invited you over, come on in.
Yeah, exactly. Exactly. Yeah, that one right there was I wasn't using I've always believed in call aheads.
Yeah,
Hearing you guys' call ahead, I was just taking out that part. But once again, that's Eddie's process. I'm Frankensteining it. I'm taking out sections of it and going, I'm not doing that. And that was one of the first times I actually used it was with Lewis. And when that was like that, oh, the light bulb just flicked on like holy crap, like that really does work. Like it's going to break down those barriers of, oh, here he comes again. He's going to just try to sell me something.
yeah,
He wants me to spend money or whatever the case may be. Because, even if it's just a maintenance, I mean, some people may be accustomed to that. You're coming out there to sell them something useless they don't need.
yeah. Now you get to reframe yourself. You're Eddie, you're a human too. You understand that it's hot out. They might need something cold to drink, and right, like
Yeah,
it changes the nature of the relationship.
100%.
And
100%.
it's just a little thing too, right? It's just a
Yeah,
tiny little thing. But also with a process, like it's not done in isolation, right? There's all these tiny little things, but that's what it means to follow a process all the
of
way through.
course.
So let's go back to something you said before about you had to mind shift, kind of on the service side, and we've kind of talked about this with a few different other things. But what else kind of falls into that for you of like how has your mind shifted, big shifts even over the last 15 months? Like what are you working on right now? Because there's always things to work on. So let's talk a little bit more about like the mindset side of it.
Yeah. So, the mindset change really had to come from stop thinking that, you know, oh, I'm a technician, services are below me, and understanding that, I'm helping the customer out. I'm still getting paid the same an hour to go do this. Yes, it's mind-numbingly easy, but I'm still getting paid the same. And every job's an opportunity.
Yeah.
I have an opportunity to better myself even if it's just, like I have a couple new guys training with me, and I'm like, even if it's just to work on your process, it's a $0 ticket, but as long as you hit that process 100%, hey, you did a good job. You,
Yeah. That's that's especially relevant right now, right? Because as we're recording this, we're kind of in that in between zone, right?
yes.
Of waiting for summer. And so, yeah, there's going to be a lot of that in that in between zone, right?
Yeah.
And you want to have the work to do, right?
Yeah.
Of these maintenance visits and tune ups, the non demand
I got
type
bills
of
to
stuff, right?
pay.
And that is a very common sentiment that I will hear out there of either from the tech of we don't like to do it, or from like the business owner of how do I get my techs to love, not even love, that's a strong word. How do I get my techs to tolerate
Yeah.
doing maintenance or not fight me, or argue about like, but it's, there's a, like you're saying, there is a value there. This is how you build value to your customers. It's not, yes, you get to be like the firefighter hero when the thing goes down, but the real relationship and building is on these visits. Is that
Absolutely.
how you're trying to look at it now?
Oh, absolutely. Yeah. You're going to their house hopefully every 6 months. So that's just more and more times that you're building that relationship with that customer. And I think building trust, obviously. I mean, you go to some of these people and you tell them it's going to be 17, $18,000 for a new unit. You want to have that trust that they're going to go, okay. And they just sign the contract and out the door
Because
you
it's
go.
time. Yeah.
Okay, yeah, they knew it was coming. We've been out here,
Hmm.
2 times a year for the last 4 years, and they knew they had an idea that one day this day was coming.
Yeah.
Hopefully we were doing our job correctly and we were keeping them informed.
I think that's a great sign of that relationship of trust versus it's this huge back and forth, and you're whack-a-moling objections, right?
Yeah,
As they come up and getting beat up on price, and then it turns into, well, maybe we need to get someone else out here for another. I completely agree that a good
yeah,
sign that you did a great job over the years of going out there 6 months is, yeah, when no surprise, you've been building towards it. When it's time, and they're like, Eddie, you're our dude,
yeah.
it's time, just do it.
Let's just get it over with.
Yep. And then the cycle repeats, the cycle restarts, and you're going to take care of that, make sure it lasts as long as possible for them, right? Yeah.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's the way to go. Well, Eddie, we could talk for a long time, right? Got to start wrapping this up. You got calls. Speaking of those maintenances, you got some customers you need to
I
go
do.
out and help. But before I let you go, anything left unsaid or anything you want to reemphasize, anything just to leave with people that are listening?
Yeah, absolutely. I would just say it's especially the younger techs getting into it, just stay focused, don't Frankenstein it, follow the process, and just do your best every time, even if it is just a maintenance. Remember, you're putting your foot in the door, and you are still helping them in the long run.
Love it. And always ask permission to enter someone's house,
Always ask
Eddie.
permission to enter someone's house.
All right. Thanks, man. I'll let you go.
All right, Derek. Good to see you, man.
Thank you for listening to the Trusted Technician Podcast. If you would like to learn more about SBE, you can find us online at sbeodyssey.com. If you enjoyed today's episode, we would appreciate it if you would leave us a review. Thank you for tuning in, and we'll see you next time.